Welcome into the Sports Objective. 50 Pirates in 50 days. I guess we can have breakfast with Bubba Rosenbaum. Bubba, man, how are you?
I'm doing well, Dave. As you see there on the screen, I've never looked better. I don't know what happened to my avatar this morning. At least on my end, it's not showing up. But I will be joining via video shortly. But I'm very excited to continue on with 50 Pirates in 50 days this morning, Dave. And right now we have with us it's a very famous name in East Carolina football history, Robert Jones. Not that Robert Jones, but this guy also had a tremendous career for the Pirates. He is out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, Tucker High School, who produced multiple Pirates over the last decade plus. Welcome into the show, Robert Jones, former East Carolina offensive and defensive lineman.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
Doing great. Bubba, did you cook any pancakes for us? I mean, it's breakfast time. Or what do you like to eat for breakfast, Robert? Maybe we can get Bubba to serve them up.
A lot of people probably will object from what I eat every morning. It's just oatmeal, low sugar oatmeal with almond milk, and that is it. I've been trying to cut the football weight for a while now, so it is low sugar, almond milk, some CLA pills, and water, and that is breakfast for me. It used to be, eggs, bacon, and a few other things. But like I said, I'm trying to cut weight, so that's what it is.
That's a good thing, and certainly to be healthy. Let's go back and look at your career. I know that love to talk about that because I think currently Mike Houston and the staff. I think Bubba help me. I think it's Steve Schenkerweiler is the recruiter for the Georgia area, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Coach Schenk. But
Yeah,
we've had
I know Coach Shank recruits that area some. Also, Blake Harrell, because of Blake Harrell's ties
right.
being at Kennesaw State, and prior to
Right.
that at the Citadel.
Yeah, I was being brand new. I forgot about the new defensive coordinator, but anyway, Georgia has always been kind to us with producing great players, and Robert, you're one of those great players. Talk about your recruitment and how did you come to East Carolina?
Well, before I get into that, Steve Schenkerweiler, he was the if I remember correctly, offensive line coach when I was there. He actually had ties with Georgia outside of recruiting. He actually had ties with Georgia from Redan High School, which is not far from where I grew up at all. So there's that. I believe he coached or did something at Redan High School before he was at ECU, if I remember correctly. So that's probably why he's recruiting the Georgia area. As far as my recruitment goes, where should I begin? Let's see. I had Junior Smith, as I said before we started the interview. I remember him showing up to my house in this H3 Hummer, the gas guzzlers. At that time, he showed up and came in my living room, and he spoke to me, my mother, and I, and was very convincing. They sold, Dwayne Harris being there, which they didn't have to do. I was, excuse me, upon my official, I was ready to come. I enjoyed the atmosphere. I enjoyed the team. They were definitely together, and I wanted to be at ECU. I had other offers at the time, but ECU, definitely stood out. As far as Dwayne Harris being there, it was a privilege to be able to see him play in high school, and I've seen some things from the sideline. I wasn't always on the field, but I saw some things from the sideline, that Dwayne Harris did, and it was just amazing being able to see him do those same things in college, because he was a quarterback in high school. So he, got the ball after the snap, and seeing him do the things he did, it was low key like watching another Michael Vick on the field. And I remember getting on the plane, somebody was like, "Yeah, that number 17 is he's an amazing." I was like, "Who is he talking about?" Because I'll admit I didn't keep up with everybody after high school, and he's like, "Yeah, Dwayne Harris." I was like, "Oh wow." I was like, dang, he must be balling out here. But like I said, my recruitment was, I really enjoyed it. I remember once I committed, Coach Rock Rogelman, I got I got that intensity through the phone, man, and it was it was amazing. Like I said, Coach Rock, he was 100%, the way he was all the time, and it was a blessing to play under him. He's coached a lot of greats. He's coached a lot of guys with Super Bowl rings, from Robert Mathis to Linville Joseph to C.J. Wilson. C.J. Wilson, he was a defensive end, but he was still on the defensive line.
Right.
Mikael Brooks, he's got a Super Bowl ring. Jay Ross, several others. They've all put time into the league, whether it be NFL, CFL, but they've had a lot of success. And, a lot of it comes from their hard work, but also being under a Rock Rogelman. He knew what he was doing, and he cared about his players.
And Robert, while we have a chance, Mikael Brooks' brother tragically died yesterday, so we're going to send our thoughts out to him and his family in the Roxborough area. So very sad. I saw that again this morning, and want to send a shout out to his family and that we're thinking about them during this time.
Yeah, thank you for telling me that. I did not know. I'll send my condolences his way. When I get as soon as I get out of this interview, I had no idea. Life is short.
Yes, it's still under investigation of what happened, so I don't want to talk about that, and just want to tell them that they Pirate Nation, we are all one. We're all together. We're one big family, and so when something like that, it really hurts. That's one of the things I want to talk about. Is I mentioned a lot on 50 Pirates in 50 Days how attached we get to you guys, the now former players, but players in general. How was your talk about your career? What do you remember about the practices there during that time?
Oh man, practices. I think I sustained. Excuse me. I think I sustained more injuries during the practices than I did.
Wow.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to think. Yep. Sustained my knee injury. Excuse me. Sustained my knee injury. Sustained my back injury. Sustained my shoulder injury. During the practices. That's how intense they were. It's not for the faint of heart. Excuse me. For a lot of people that have whatever preconceived notions or whatever it is about football players and what we do. We go out there and we hit each other. We're battling. We're fighting each other. Excuse me, between snaps. And my time at ECU, we put in work. That's why for the majority of my career at ECU, we were successful. We went out there with an agenda, with a goal in mind, and it was to win championships, win bowl games, and they were intense. Everywhere between under Rock Rogelman, our practices were going to be intense. We got it in. The defensive line was, he was going to let the defensive line be the weak link. And as I just named all those guys that have time in the league and Super Bowl rings, like I said, they got it in. You transition over to Coach Ruff's time there, and we had success there as well. Lincoln Riley and would have the excuse me offense. He would have the offense. This was so smart. He had us coming up. Even if you weren't starting or playing like that, he would have the backups after practice have like a some type of like low key, game against the other defense or whatever. And like I said, these were guys that were not starting and or playing. These were guys that were up and coming, but he was developing us and getting us ready to play because It's said that you're really only as good as your weak link, or the people that are backing you up. Because if the starter goes down, um, who are you gonna have that's backing you up? I remember Jay Ross. Was it Jay Ross? It was either, yeah, I want to say it was Jay Ross. He was my freshman year. I played in letter my freshman year. Um, he went down or something happened to him, and I got a lot of reps. Excuse me, I got a lot of snaps the Southern Miss game in 2008. Boy, uh, that was intense.
Wow.
Yeah, that was intense. I got they had this receiver out there that was about 6'5", 6'6". He was a beast, and I didn't have my head on the swivel, and he laid me out, um, and then tried to pick me up afterwards. I was like, I don't want your help, and I know I say away from practice, but like I said, the practices, they were intense. They were intense, but I learned a lot from everything, and from everything at ECU and everything on that practice field, because we had some quality coaches. So,
We, yeah, Robert, we actually laughed because Rick Smith, that was obviously on Holt's staff, and then certainly came back under Ruff and McNeil, a coach you know very well as well. He always said, I know he said on Pirate Radio, you got to go live. And
mhm.
meaning practice, there was times under Montgomery where it was more like an NFL practice and not, in my opinion, and not a college practice. And I think that there's a difference between, that's part of East Carolina is the blue collar, chip on your shoulder, work for everything you have. I mean, that's part of what Eastern North Carolina is too. The fact that you're being coached up, and if you're not being coached up in that particular case, then the results speak for itself. And you guys had, I mean, two conference championships during your time.
Mhm.
You had, I know, with Coach Ruff, unfortunately losing that bowl game against Maryland, but certainly a great way to start his first season. Uh, with having 6 wins and not having, it could have been way worse than that, like we've experienced the last few years. So, talk about the championship years, certainly under having Skip Holtz the last 2 years of his tenure, if you will, as coach there at East Carolina.
Um, the championship years, I appreciate those, being able to come into those, excuse me, the way I did as a freshman. Like you said, back to back on the second championship with I want to say it was either the interception or winning touchdown. I don't know if anybody could see, I was in the end zone, not in the way that I wanted to be in the end zone. And this is for the second championship. I was on crutches, and it was
Oh
either,
wow.
yeah. Excuse me. It was either Dakota Marshall or Jonathan Williams, one of those two. I'll never know. It's muddy out there, and I'm in the crutches, and one of them, from excitement, pushed me into the end zone after, like I said, either the interception or touchdown. So that's what I remember from that. But the first conference championship, we played Tulsa. Um, both of those years, Skip Holtz did a phenomenal job with structure and earning earning your position and earning everything we got within those 2 years. It was seniors in the front and juniors and everybody else in the back, and he knew what he was doing. I mean, he got a conference championship even after he left ECU, or he at least appeared in one or a few after he left ECU. But those years were, like I said, phenomenal. It was a blessing to be able to be a part of, you know, back-to-back conference championship teams. The players that we had at that time, Chris Maddox, Levin Neal, who else? Who else? Jeremy Chambliss, Limbo Joseph, Jay Ross, Scotty Robinson. Zach, who else? Emmanuel Davis, Travis Simmons, phenomenal defense. Pat Pinckney, Brandon Simmons on, running back on the offensive side. We had a lot of players that put in work. And like I said, it was a blessing to be a part of that. I remember the quarterbacks that maybe Hall of Famers or that played or are playing in the league. We beat all those quarterbacks, all of them. Russell Wilson,
Right.
Pat White, Tyrod Taylor. He didn't play that game, but he was still on the team. Joe Webb. We beat all those quarterbacks. Case Keenum, all of them, and that's because we put in work. Like you said, we had a chip on our shoulder, and we were potentially overlooked by the teams that we played, but that didn't matter. Like I said, because we had a quality coaching staff.
No doubt about it. It's interesting to see that very thing of how with the during that time. I mean, when you were talking about it, it's just amazing how many great people, how many great players were on those Skip Holtz teams and even Rough and Meal teams. And the fact that, I mean, 2 conference championships. The last thing I would ever thought about, Robert, is that you and I would be here in the year 2020 and we still haven't won a championship in, what is that, 11 seasons? Something, I believe 11, right? Bubba, 2009 is the last time we won a conference championship. It's just hard to believe. It seems that there are so many teams that we fell a little bit short, but we should have won a championship. But anyway, how you doing, Bubba?
Well, yeah, it's tough. It's what I believe it comes down to is it can come down to recruiting, and not to say that they're recruiting the wrong way or the bad way. It's just getting it all comes full circle. Like you need every aspect um, to work the right way. Like I said, recruiting the players that work for your scheme. Um, how you treat your players. I believe that matters. That I feel like that's the most important. How your players are treated, and if you actually care about your players, not just say it, but it shows, and you take care of them. Because if you take care of them physically, they're not going to be they're going to be able to perform come the season. But if you're doing things to where they can't perform, that's going to matter come game time. It's what you mentally instill them, and uplifting them, not always breaking them down. All that stuff matters, and things like that is what leads to championships. Getting the players in there, like I said, that fit your scheme, and that you care about, and the players have to believe in that as well. Because if they don't, then it's going to be a long season, and you're not going to have success. And that's through any walk of life. Being at a job, being on the radio, whatever. If you don't believe in what you're doing, you're not gonna buy in. And for playing football through several teams, you're a lot of guys will know and see things that how should I put it? They know that they potentially may have been around teams where they didn't fully buy in, and that, like I said, that was a long season. There's a lot of things that factor into that. Like I was telling you before, um, with the amount of work we put in with practice, it's not just a fall. We're not just doing that through fall, through the season. It's spring ball, and then it's summer, and it's weights in class, film room in class. It's all of that. It's a year-round thing. and you have to buy in year round, and that's how you get those championships in those bowl games. When I was in there, I never won a bowl game, and that's one thing I do regret. I don't like having a lot of regrets, but I do regret not ever getting a bowl win. I was glad to be at, get the bowl appearance, but it would have been nice to, beat one of those SEC teams / ACC teams that, I immediately noticed the difference when going up against those guys. It was, sometimes I felt like when I played on defense, I felt like I was going up against a brick wall. So yeah, it's different. It's a whole nother level.
Robert, when you were coming in 2008, you already alluded to this. You were a true freshman, and Pirates that year, we got off to a 3-0 start, taking down Virginia Tech and Charlotte. Then that unbelievable win over West Virginia when they were ranked 8th, I guess it was, coming into Dowdy-Ficklin. And then we went down to Tulane. And in that Tulane game, we managed to pull out the win, but it was a costly one with Quentin Cotton going down. And that was certainly a sign of things to come in terms of the number of injuries that team incurred. You looked at the injury report, and there were probably at least like 12 to 15 guys. It was just unbelievable. And you guys, after that 3-0 start, we dropped 3 straight to NC State, Houston, and UVA. And we found a way to overcome that once conference season rolled around. And so just talk about the perseverance of that 2008 club.
The perseverance. Yes, Quentin Cotton went down. Q went down. I think Nick had some shoulder stuff going on. Jeremy Chambliss had some stuff going on. I don't want to say everybody had an injury, but people were beat up. Players don't make it through the season and not get beat up. It is what it is. The perseverance of that team, like I said before, the structure of how Coach Holtz had everything. That's how we were able to persevere. We worked hard, but like I said, he had a structure. We worked for what we wanted, and we ran that base defense that Coach had us running, and we ran it well. 4-3 all day. We did a 3 front from time to time, but that 4-3, getting after it. When all you really, really have to do, we're throwing some schemes in there, but when all you really had to do was go upfield and attack and just get after somebody, I love that's one of the best. That is the best defense I've ever played under. And like I said, we had Pat Pinkney and Rob Cast, Wayne Harris on the offense, so we were not going to be denied those 2 conference championships. And again, it was a blessing being able to play for those 2 teams.
No doubt about it. With thinking about Skip Holtz, with the culture he built, and with the recruiting and with the coaching, and talk about buying in. I mean, you guys, how could anybody argue that you guys didn't buy in with the level of accomplishments you did during that time? Talk about the being that you played for 2 different coaches at East Carolina, both coaches that I love and admire, respect a lot. What about Ruff and McNeil? I think we lost Robert there for a second. We'll try to get him back. Bubba, what a great time there for the Pirates. I know that time is very special to us now, because it's hard to believe, like I was saying just a little bit ago, there's been 11 seasons since we won a conference championship. And I think I believe we have Robert back now.
Yeah, sorry about that. You were saying about 2 coaches you admire?
Right, and respect. I was saying, leading into the question I was going to ask you about, you played for 2 different coaches with Skip Holtz and Ruff McNeil. What was the coaching change like? Obviously, wasn't it really a coaching change? He left, being Skip Holtz, and then you have Ruff McNeil.
Yes, it was 2 different two different philosophies. Excuse me, I don't want to say two different philosophies. It was two different coaching staffs. That was very apparent. Excuse me, we did a lot of heavy powerlifting under the Skip Holtz era, and then we did more running from my perspective under the Ruff and McNeil era, because we ended up getting Coach C. But we got it in with both. You know, we put in the work with both, and I was glad to be able to leave out of there with a winning record, even though we didn't get the bowl win under Ruff and McNeil my senior season. I'll say this, like I said before, with a Brandon Jones, who's offensive line coach. I believe in some other programs he's been offensive coordinator. I've kept in contact with him. Great person. If I can attest to anybody that, again, cares about their players, because that's what I care about, he definitely does. He keeps in touch. Was, again, blessed to be able to play under Lincoln Riley, because they gave me a shot at the position I played, and that ultimately got me into the league my senior season. And they definitely had it together. They had a Dominique Davis at quarterback. They had a Shane Carden at quarterback. They knew what they were doing, and they weren't going to let their side of the ball be the reason we didn't get done what we went into the game to get done. So, like I said, two different coaching staffs, but ultimately they all had one goal in mind, and that was to get the win. And it was definitely an adjustment. I guess the word you could use was adversity, and just learning how to work under two different mindsets. But you transitioned into real life to college football, and I learned a lot from both coaching staffs, and I appreciate what I took away from both coaching staffs. But they're all coaching right now. I think Coach Ruff just got an assistant something with another school. I can't remember the school, but
yeah, special assistant to the head coach at NC State with Dave
NC
Dorn.
State.
Right, yes. So yeah, it was.
I think that was a great move.
Yeah. And I'm glad they're to my knowledge, they're all doing well. So, and I hope they can continue to do well.
But Rob,
You get a chance to come back, and I'm sorry, Bubba, go ahead.
Robert, you talk about remaining close with the former offensive line coach for the Pirates, Brandon Jones. Coach Jones, like you said, has gone on to great things. He's been at Cal, Texas Tech. I think he's currently at Houston, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. But Coach Jones, when he would be on Pirate Radio having a conversation with those guys, I love to listen to those interviews with his accent.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. Coach Jones, he had we had some crazy meetings, crazy film sessions when we would be watching film on other teams, or the past game or practice. He would always say, I'm gonna punch a hole. You need to punch a hole through his chest, and he would say it with that Texas low key Georgia Savannah accent. He would throw in there, and it would be hard to gauge, if he's angry or happy, because he consistently keep that accent. So that accent was thick, man. But it's a part of who he is, and I'll definitely remember that accent. If I forget anything else, I will remember that accent. I love Coach Jones. That's somebody I would play for.
You talk about the quarterback situation during those years in 2010 and 2011 when we had Dominic Davis, who came in after starting his career at Boston College and then moving on to JUCO. He did a tremendous job. But in 2012, you had the quarterback battle between Shane Carden and Rio Johnson. Rio started that first game against App State. But then Shane came in right after halftime against South Carolina when we were getting beat pretty badly down in Columbia, and played a really, really good second half. Started the next week against Southern Miss, and the rest was history. So take us inside the huddle. I know that was your redshirt senior year, and you were one of the key cogs on the offensive line. Take us inside the huddle with everything that Shane Carden brought to the table in terms of his leadership abilities and intangibles.
Yes, that was that was my first game at offensive line. That's what I remember. Aside from us, we did lose that game. But that was my first game at offensive line. They had a Jadeveon Clowney on one end.
Yeah.
And, yeah, man. That was interesting. Jadeveon Clowney on one end, and they had Devin Bryant or Brian, or I can't remember his name. He played in the league for a good bit on the other end. Like you said, we went in there with Rio Johnson and, came out of it with Shane Carden. We had a freshman receiver. I remember one time in the game, he was about to score and he ended up fumbling. It was a learning lesson for him. That battle. Well, what I'll say is this: we had two quarterbacks, and with Shane Carden, we were able to. Not saying Rio Johnson, we wouldn't have been able to do this with him as well, but with Shane Carden, we ended up going about 8-5, and we had some battles in there. I remember the Marshall game, which I'll never forget. We ended up stacking touchdown upon touchdown upon touchdown. And it came to the very end and in overtime, and we were able to, get that win in. And, he was a mobile quarterback. I used to love running F5, which was a play where we would, act like we're doing one thing and, ended up doing another. And he would run upfield. And with him, we were able to get it done and get the winning season. And then the next season they won a bowl game. So that's how that worked. And like I said, I was glad to play with all those guys.
No question about it. With during that during that time with the Pirates, there was I think right after coming off of John Thompson, when you have Skip Holtz and Ruff and McNeil back to back, I guess we as alums and Pirate fans, the media, we got kind of spoiled there, Robert. I mean, we got a chance to see a lot of wins between those two coaches. And then right afterwards with Montgomery, it just didn't work out. He's a very nice guy, but it just didn't translate. I guess maybe they didn't buy it. Whatever happened, it was very tough. And having a former coach, it was very tough the day that Ruff and McNeil got fired. I know that that's my grandmother's birthday, my late grandmother, my mom's mom. December 4th, 2015 will live with me for a long, long time.
Yeah. That like you said, that era was tough. It's tough seeing your school, whether it be high school, college, wherever. It's tough seeing the program that you put a lot of work into to lay the foundation, as Coach Ruff and Lincoln Rileys used to say, is laying, they told us we laid the foundation for what was to come. And it's tough not seeing them have the success that I had. I was privileged to not have to really go through a program to where we weren't really winning. Coming out of high school at Tucker, we won. We had a winning season, and we had one winning season. We couldn't even go to the playoffs. That's how tough and competitive this sport is. We went 7-3 in the conference we were in here in DeKalb County, Georgia, we were not able to go to the playoffs with 3 losses. So it's tough. It's like, I hate seeing not us not having the success that we've had. I know we'll get back there one day, and I hope we get back there soon. But it's going to be interesting, especially now with COVID. It may even be longer. First and foremost, I'm always going to think about the player first, always, because they are the workhorse. They are the backbone. Without them, there is no sport. There's no tickets. There's nothing. So I say that because I'm worried about their health and their safety, and there can be things implemented to say they're safe, but ultimately what I really care is about if they're actually safe. So we'll see this year if they're if the college season takes place, and if so, I just hope that all the players are safe and they're physically and mentally in a good place to compete.
Robert, with that 2012 season being your first year of game action, like you referenced on the offensive line, Ventavious Cooper really came into his own as Coach Riley continued to evolve as an offensive coordinator and not move away from the air raid so much, but just it evolved to where we were running the ball even more effectively than we had those first 2 years. Coop had come in after having been a junior college quarterback and running an option offense. And Coop had an 1,000-yard season in 2012, and then he had 1,200 plus in 2013, the year after you had departed the program. Ran for, I think, something like 20 touchdowns combined in those 2 years. So just talk about Ventavious Cooper and the evolution of the running game under Coach Riley.
So I want to say my senior years where that really took hold, the running game under his air raid offense. And what a lot of people don't know, air raid is is I guess you can say really unique from a pro style offense. It's going to be about 70-something% or something more so throwing the ball every game. And they wanted to Coach Jones and Coach Riley used to, go back and forth a little bit during the game and practices about, running the ball more. And it was all good. It was competition. They were, they just wanted to win. It was respectful. And I remember having, Reggie Bullock, Vontavious Cooper. I can't remember his name. We had somebody else. We had quite a few running backs under that scheme that, saw success our senior season. And one of the things that needed to take place was the offensive line needed to be able to block, for them to be able to get that. And Coach Jones was going to have us ready. As a tackle, we were coming out of a 2-point stance, but we still had to make holes for the running backs to run through. So, I was glad, Coop was able to get those, 1,000-yard seasons that he had. But, that doesn't happen without him putting the work in, but at the same time without the offensive line putting in the work and the preparation that Coach Jones had us doing. We had film sessions, and we would have, individual film sessions outside of the initial film sessions as well that we did. And that's, that led to us being able to have more of a run game within his air raid offense. Because again, before it was more so just a lot of passing, but once you implement that run game, it changes things, because now the defense has to respect the run game. If they don't, Coop and Reggie Bullock, they're going to run all over you, and now you have 2 things to worry about.
And Robert, one of the things I wanted to ask you, And we wanted to ask you today is obviously you made that reference of being offensive line your senior year, and you played defensive line. I know one of the things that Coach Mike Houston currently, he puts a really strong emphasis, which I'm very excited to see and hear, is the fact he's putting an emphasis on the importance of the offensive line play and the defensive line play. I hear it all the time, and it's so true. You win and lose games down in the trenches. Talk about your transition from D line to O line.
Yeah, the transition. Man, it was interesting. Came in there, came in there under, Skip Holtz as a defensive lineman. I was playing D line for about 3 years. Interesting fact, I actually was recruited by a lot of teams for offensive line and defensive line. Ball State wanted me for offensive line. University of Virginia, Mike London was the defensive. I know I'm getting off topic a little bit, but Mike London
That's right.
wanted me for defensive line, and then he ended up leaving, going to the Richmond Spiders, winning over there, then coming back and being the head coach. So I actually had a scholarship to go there as well, but came in as a defensive lineman. Lettered as a defensive lineman, and produced and did that, and I gained what happened? I believe I got an injury to my shoulder, and then after that season, I ended up transitioning to offensive line. There were some injuries and things on offensive line, and I sat down in Coach Jones's office because I was not going to not be in a position to be able to help my team my last year there. So I sat down with Coach Jones, and he listened to what I had to say, which is what I respect. Lincoln Riley, they allowed me to play offensive tackle and help the team my last year, and I really, really appreciate that. They listened to what I had to say as a player, and they put the team and I in a position to be successful, which is why we were successful that last season. And yeah.
You talk about being successful in that 2012 season. The Pirates certainly were there. I think we were 5-4. We'd come off a very difficult loss to Navy at home, lost to those guys. I think it was 56-28, and then had Houston coming in the very next week. We really put it on the Cougars, and then won the last 2 games, including just a absolute shootout with Marshall at Dowdy Ficklin to finish 8-4 going into that bowl game against the Raging Cajuns down in New Orleans, like you referenced. So just talk about the way we came out, not came out, but finished that 2012 season so strong and won 8 ball games.
Yeah, it was we put up numbers. Like you just said, with the teams that we played and or beat, we put out numbers. We put up numbers. We stuck to the script. We put in the work at practice, hurt, not hurt, whatever. We put up numbers. We scored. We were not going to not score on offense. We had a Shane Carden. We had Justin Hardy, who had the reception record, and then ended up being broken by somebody else within the same offense. I believe Zay Jones, and who else did we have? Like I said, Reggie Bullock, Dontavius Cooper. I'm trying to think who else. Justin Jones. I played next to Will Simmons, who was one of the most dominant guards. I know I talked about brick walls within the SEC and ACC offensive line, but Will Simmons was one of those brick walls that I used to have to go up against when I was playing on defensive line. Like he would get a hold of you, and it was like a death grip. I hated that. Um, uh,
Yep. Yeah, Rob, sorry to cut you off for a moment there, but here recently on Pirate Radio, maybe they were watching an old game. Somehow Will Simmons' name came up, and Stephen Igo from hoistthecolors.net, he and Clip Brock, they were referring to Will Simmons as the road grader.
Yeah, we had a few road grades. We had I remember TJ Harper when I first got there. Coach Rock used to call him a road grader, the way he would just dig into the ground. He was solely destroying the field with his feet. The way he would just dig into the ground and block. But Will Simmons was another one of those guys, strong, and he was one of those offensive linemen that put in the work in the weight room, and it showed on the field. Like I said, going up against him as a defensive lineman, I knew I was going to have to bring it, because it was going to be work trying to get around him. Like I said, because the way he would just get his hands on you, excuse me, he was strong, and he was disciplined, and he was playing under a coach Jones. So he was very well coached, and like I said, you were going to have to bring it if you were going to try to get past, if you were going to get past him.
Robert, and right now we have joining us one of the co-hosts, Kyle from LaGrange Barber. Kyle, we've been talking recently right now about his transition from defensive line to offensive line for the Pirates there, his last season in 2012.
Yeah, Robert, how you doing, man? Better late than never, I guess. I'm just now getting able to join the show, and enjoyed watching you play. You transitioned from defensive line to offensive line. Obviously, I guess that was the 13th season. You were playing the O-line. 12. Okay. 2012 season, you were playing the O-line. How exciting was it? I mean, I know the offensive linemen don't get all the glory, but how exciting was it to play on that side of the ball under Lincoln Riley's offense? I mean, all you guys did was score.
Yeah, that's excuse me, that's exactly what we did. I played both ways in high school too, so it wasn't that new to me. As far as not gaining the glory or anything, personally, I've almost always never really been one to want acknowledgement from everybody, so I was used to it. And offensive linemen are, I believe, the second highest paid position in the league for a reason, because they are one of the smartest positions on the field. You have to be able to assess, who's blitzing, who's coming up, and then you got to be athletic enough to block with the weight that you have on you to be able to block the defense, that the specialist or whoever that's coming around the corner that's trying to get past you. It definitely was a interesting transition. You go from just having to get upfield and contain whoever has the ball on the opposite side to blocking for that very same person.
Yeah,
and like I said, I learned a lot from it, and I was glad I was able to help the team within that process, because we definitely needed help at offensive line because of injuries that we sustained on that side of the ball. So I was glad I was able to help.
During the 2012 season, had another junior college transfer that came in by the name of Montavious Cooper, and quarterback came in, switched him to running back, and you had a chance to block for him. And Tay Cooper really seemed to make a big difference in that offense. I mean, obviously, it was a pass-first offense, but with Vontavious, really gave us a real threat in the running game. Talk about blocking for him.
Yeah, when he came in, he made a huge impact. Excuse me, he made a huge impact. I don't want to leave Reggie Bullock out, because he was there as well. I know he sustained the injury, but we had success under him as well. But the way we were able to come together as an offensive line my senior season, that enabled, both Vontavious and Reggie to have success under offensive line. Because I remember just in the bowl game, we had the pieces that we needed on offense in order for us to score. But as you put it, Coop came in and it was a great addition to the team, and I was glad to block for both of those guys. As far as revisiting acknowledgement, um, my gratification, well, excuse me, my appreciation um, comes in when I make a hole, or so another offensive lineman makes a hole for the running back to run through, and they either get the yardage that we needed or a score. Just seeing that, that's all the gratification I need. So it's always a nice sight seeing that. Oh, okay, I made a hole for this guy, or we made a hole for this guy to get the yardage he needed to progress down the field.
Rob, despite having that just one season on the offensive line, I know you had a free agent opportunity after your Pirate career was over with the Carolina Panthers. So discuss that.
Oh man, well, the phrase that's used is it's very cutthroat. If there was a sword to be used to cut through anything, it would be a samurai sword. It's a process. As far as my free agent opportunity, I definitely appreciated it. Got with the Carolina Panthers coming out of ECU. I had a few looks from Patriots, Panthers, the Colts, and the Raiders. And I ultimately chose to go with the Panthers. Was there with the Cam Newton, Jimmy Clausen, D'Angelo. Was it D'Angelo Williams?
Williams.
Yeah, D'Angelo Williams, running back.
D'Angelo Williams. I think Kelvin Benjamin was there as well. Tuck, who I discovered was actually from Georgia. I didn't know that. Greg Olson, he was there. Ron Rivera was there. It was like I said, it was very cutthroat. I was there for a brief moment, but I still appreciated being there. It was a job like anything else, like any other job, and again, I appreciated being there.
Yeah, D'Angelo Williams is a guy that's very familiar to Pirate fans. He was at Memphis before your playing time at East Carolina and ran the ball down our throat.
Right.
Yeah. Not maybe good for Panthers fans, but definitely not for East Carolina with the Tigers.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Talk about that process. Can you talk about the what it's like to try to make a team? I know that's got to be unbelievable hard. It's really tough.
It is what a lot of people don't know. When you get out here in the real world, because it's not college anymore.
Right.
Save your money. When you get to the next level, it's cutthroat. People can make the argument for politics and whatever. That's work. The transition from a air raid offense to a pro style offense was challenging for me, especially with really just having 1 year under my belt as an offensive lineman in college. It was challenging for me. I would say for anybody going to the league, take it seriously and just be prepared to be challenged at every corner. You need to take it upon yourself. Anybody aspiring to do that needs to take it upon themselves to put in the work to be there and to help that program win, because they're not just looking at you as far as what you do on the field. They're looking at everything, anything and everything, and they're investing a lot into you. So you're going to be evaluated at in every aspect of what you do when you're there, when you're not there. So again, I appreciated being there. I will never forget that. I definitely had a shot in the league. But like I said, it was short lived. I'm glad the guys that I played with, they were able to sustain a lengthy career, the ones that they did have, and enjoy it.
As far as what are you up to now, post football, and I guess the real world, right?
Excuse me. What I'm doing right now, I work for the state. When I did get released by the Panthers, I had a few more stints with AFL teams. Did a few CFL tryouts, but ultimately I put an end to that in around 2016. But as I said, I work for the state. I'm blessed to um, work the job that I have without saying too much. Don't want to put too much out there what I do. But again, I'm blessed to do what I do right now. I'm just enjoying life. I'm blessed to have gained the life experiences and discipline that I got from playing football. That's aside from playing with the Panthers or whoever I played with. The the coaches that I was around and the discipline and everything they and the sport instilled and the toughness and everything that I got from it. I definitely appreciate that. The one of the more noticeable things that I gained from football was just being on time, and we see that out in the real world and how it's just different with everybody else. But I imagine being late to anything is like being late to a practice or a or a film session. And you don't want to be late for those. That's not going to be a happy day.
Robert, with one of my relatives, he worked for about 30 years with General Telephone during like 70s and 80s and all, and he always told me, he said, David, he said, when I see an application, when I see a resume, and I see that we have the person was an athlete, he gave them strong consideration because of the discipline that it would have to take to all the working out, the going to class, the lifting the weights, all the study, all the stuff that you have to do as a player. And that's still fresh in my mind when it comes to you guys about all the hard work, the blood, the sweat, and the tears behind the scenes that those of us that show up and tailgate and go to football games and tailgate afterwards, we don't think about.
Yeah, there's there's a mindset out there that or an idea out there or a narrative out there that guys that play sports, how should I put it? They're perceived as not being intelligent and things of that. It's a negative. There's a negative narrative that they're not that intelligent. That's why they have to play sports, and I think it's a complete opposite. You have to be able to focus in, and for the guys that are able to play and start, you have to be able to focus in and buy into whatever that the philosophy of that team is at the time, and that transitions over into the real world. And he's absolutely right. Putting those guys in the front of hiring for any job. They've been through physical and mental toughness. It makes it. I'll say it like this. I definitely appreciate it because any and everything I have encountered, um, I'm not worried about happening at work. I'm going to do my job. Um, I've been chewed out. I've been cussed at. I've had a coach put his hands on me before. I'm not saying that was right or wrong. I'm just saying like it helped prepare me for real life. There's not much like it, aside from basketball or anything else. With football, you're getting chewed out. You're going to meetings. You're missing out on things that other college students are able to do. You're beating your body up, and you're learning at the same time, and you're learning life lessons and everything else. And it's a sport that will hold you accountable, because you can't be idle on the field and just standing around, or life, just like the player on the opposite side is going to come crack back you, or blindside you, and you're not going to see it coming, and you have to be prepared for that and be able to get up.
No doubt about it. Thank you, Robert, so much. We appreciate it. How can people, before we let you go, how can people follow you on social media?
I actually have a few handles. The main one that I'd appreciate people to follow is Rob's Game Room. Soon, once I get the equipment I need, I'll be hosting a gaming vlog on YouTube and Instagram. It's Rob's Game Room. And let me, hold on. Well, I can't go on there right now, but I believe it's ROBSGAMEROOM. It's like I said, my gaming channel. And if you want to keep up with me with working out or just doing day-to-day things as far as gaming, go ahead and follow me.
That's pretty cool, Robert. Kyle and I are both retro gamers, especially Kyle. He's the Mac Daddy of retro gamers.
Okay, nice. What console?
Old school, Atari 2600, Atari 7800.
Okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, go
Real
ahead.
retro.
Go ahead and follow me. The gaming world is growing. There's a lot of money to be made in that industry, and it's something that, aside from football, I've been doing that for the longest, and I'm very passionate about it.
Good deal.
That's very cool, and we'll definitely do that. And good luck to you and the real world with the state. And obviously, we will definitely follow you. And hey, Kyle, we need to have him back on, and we could do a whole episode of gaming and how we had. Help me out, Hank from what was it, Wingate College there, Bubba? They actually have a sport.
Yeah.
That was really cool. And then the fact that maybe that's a future sport of East Carolina. Who knows?
It's
Winthrop University. Thank you, gosh.
Yeah, they have Winthrop has a gaming team, and there's competitive NCAA gaming now, which is incredible to think about. That's actually, you can get a scholarship in gaming now to play games.
He's absolutely I'd love to be on. He's absolutely right. Esports is taking off. It's going to be the new and upcoming thing. And like you said, you can get a scholarship doing it, and it's only going to grow. It's another opportunity for a kid to gain a scholarship. Esports is growing. I see it at every college that'll have it, and it's something definitely that parents should instill in their kids, because it's a great experience, and it's a passion that everybody plays. Not everybody, but almost everybody plays some type of game, whether it's on their phone or it's on the TV. And to be able to get a scholarship doing that would I would have loved that.
Well, Kyle, you're going back like Rodney Dangerfield. You can go back to school, right? And maybe when the Pirates have their inaugural esports, we'll have Kyle will be dominating on that.
We're going to have a Galaga tournament. I'll be your Huckleberry.
All right. And Donkey Kong Defender, I can go back and I can hang with Miss Pac-Man too.
Oh, man. Donkey Kong Defender.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers. Mike Tyson's. I tell you what, I'll leave you with this, Rob. One of my favorite memories is the fact that I used to love Mike Tyson, who actually is getting back in the ring, guys, in September. But I'm a huge fan of Mike Tyson, and I loved when that came out, Mike Tyson's Punch Out in NES. I actually knocked out Mike Tyson twice. Early on, I beat it and beat the game, and the fact that I would never be able to beat Mike Tyson in the real world.
Wait a minute, Dave, give yourself credit. I think you could take Tyson out in the ring.
No,
I think you could do it.
No way.
I'd pay.
With Bubba in your corner, I think you could do it, Dave.
No way. There's no way in the world I'm taking on one of my heroes. No. I love Mike Tyson, and but that game, to be able to knock him out, I thought that I was like, I might as well have just won $1 million, because it was A cool feat. But anyway, Rob, thanks, man. Appreciate you so much for coming on. And when are you going to launch? Do you know when you're going to launch that gaming channel?
Like I said, whenever I get the equipment to
Okay.
do that, it's an investment. I need what do I need? The desk, the monitor, and the I'm not a PC gamer. It'll be Xbox. It'll be every console, probably aside from PC. I'm just not there with building a PC yet.
What is your go-to genre? Are you a first-person shooter guy, RPG? What?
So it would be. I'm trying to. I play a lot. Played a lot in college, probably more than I should have. Played a lot in college. First person shooter. I'm playing Modern Warfare right now. Activision was able to get it together this year
Oh, cool.
and bring back boots on the ground. But Modern Warfare, I'll play the RPGs like Assassin's Creed. I'll play games that people normally wouldn't play. I'll probably want to get back to Sunset Overdrive. That's like an Xbox exclusive. So like I said, I'm heavily into it. I just need the equipment, gaming chair or office chair, like a 4K streaming camera, all that stuff. So once I get that equipment, I will officially launch the channel and get going on that.
Is Twitch still the place to be for gamers, or is that genre dying?
So no, Twitch is definitely not dying. It's going to be like a safe haven for gamers that
Great stuff there.
Mixer. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Mixer. Mixer is a platform under
Heard of it.
Xbox / Microsoft that they are unfortunately getting rid of. So all the what do they call them? Not partners, but they call them we'll just for right now say partners. All the partners and everybody under Mixer have to find a different platform to stream their content on now, because they were supporting Mixer because that's where they were getting paid from. So now they got to go to Twitch or Facebook Gaming or YouTube. YouTube was always going to be my go-to anyway. I wasn't going to just rely on Mixer because I want to be able to, when I review games and do other stuff, I wanted to be able to say what I wanted to say and not have it, how should I put it?
Be governed by Microsoft.
Exactly. Heavily influenced and governed by Microsoft. So I was going to use Mixer because it's nice to be able to stream. The best thing about it for me was you were able to stream directly from your Xbox without setting anything else up. But that's
wow.
Yeah, so that you can do it directly from it. But that's going to be gone, if it's not gone already, in the month of July. And Twitch, YouTube. There's another one that starts with a P, where you can support these people. So and Patreon, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Patreon. So yeah, but Twitch is going to be the go-to. They had a guy named Ninja that Mixer stole. Well, I want to say stole. Mixer got from Twitch, and they paid this guy so much money. That's why I say this industry is growing, and it's something that a lot of people should get in. But they paid this guy, Ninja, and another guy a lot of money, and initially he was on Twitch, so he can go back on Twitch. I'm sure they'll hopefully welcome him with open arms, and that is the place to be.
And with this fall is a good time to launch it if you can, because you have the Xbox X and obviously PlayStation 5 coming up the fourth quarter of the year. So
Yes.
That'll be really cool. So we look forward to having you back on, Robert, man. That's going to be really cool. And Kyle and I we always talk about pro wrestling and definitely the retro gaming, Kyle, on a regular basis, don't we? I mean, it seems like we're always talking about those two subjects somehow or somehow.
Definitely, and I'm a big fan of old school gaming. Probably love a lot more old stuff than what Robert's into, but nonetheless, gamers are gamers.
Yeah,
No doubt.
I agree. Gamers are gamers. I got a lot of my love for gaming between the SNES and the N64. And Nintendo 64 changed the game a lot. It it brought in more 3D gaming, and no, it brought in I believe introduced 3D gaming aside
It
from
introduced it on a way that it could be successful. It had been tried on other platforms, but
Right.
Mario 64 broke the fourth wall, if you will.
absolutely. And then and it's changed the game and changed it for the better.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Robert, coming on. And that was really cool to learn about that with the gaming. And we'll definitely have you back to talk football, life, and gaming very soon. Sometime this fall, we'll have you on and talk about the launch. I can't wait for that to happen and look forward to catching that sometime soon as well.
I appreciate you guys doing this. Thank you so much for just helping me relive these memories and shining a light on guys that or guys and or women that put in work in the program. I appreciated my time there, and I appreciated you having me on today.
Thanks, Robert.
No doubt about it. Good luck to you, and we'll talk to you very soon, man.
All right, you as well.
All right, take care. Robert Jones, 2008, 2012. Didn't know about that. It's pretty cool about gaming. And I actually wore a T-shirt for you, Kyle, today. A little Pink Floyd action there.
Nice. Yeah.
Dark Side. So I had to put that on. I put that on for you. Yeah, exactly. So I had to put that for you. I know you like T-shirts like I do, so I wanted. And Bubba's wearing a T-shirt, so I guess we all got the memo. But guys, I'll tell you what.
I'm glad you're not wearing your flannels like you normally do.
Yeah, while he's out picking hay, right?
Hey, Kyle, if I had a flannel on right now with as hot as it is this morning here in Kannapolis, yeah, unless it was a sleeveless flannel, and then maybe even with the sleeveless flannel, I probably would not be. I would not be taking part in the broadcast right now. I would
flannel with about 4 buttons.
Yes, I'd be lying on this
and a trucker's cap. That would be the most epic thing ever.
That would be actually, hey, Bubba, that's a great
I'll make it happen for you guys.
For your Halloween costume this year. You could go as Larry the Cable Guy. That would be epic.
Get her done, Bubba.
Yeah, get her done. Make it happen. Let's talk about 50 Pirates in 50 days. I know we had Robert here, but Bubba, we got some great content coming up, and we have some great previous shows as well to talk about the people maybe this weekend can watch and catch up on.
Yeah, coming up over the next week or so on 50 Pirates in 50 days, in no particular order. We'll catch up with former East Carolina defensive back, safety Chip Thompson, who played for Pirates 2012 and 2013. Also, Peach Bowl and Liberty Bowl era defensive lineman, 89 to 94, Jeff Cook, who's out of the Sanford area, Lee High School. Also, son of Coach Shankweiler, who is now coaching the quarterbacks up at Lafayette College in Easton, Pennsylvania. And then also former Pirate offensive lineman J.T. Boyd from recent years that folks will certainly remember. Some of the other guests we'll have, Rachel Barbeau has been kicking the can down the road on us. No, I'm just kidding. Looking forward. I know, Dave, you'll enjoy that conversation.
Yeah,
and Lee Workman, former East Carolina administrator, came to East Carolina, I want to say, in 1984, and was there for 3.5 decades in a variety of capacities, marketing for, I want to say, maybe 25 of those years. So he spent time with Dave Hart, obviously Terry Holland, and a lot of folks, a lot of different coaches. So some excellent perspective from Lee Workman next Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And on Wednesday night, Wednesday afternoon, Damon West, who was a former FBS quarterback at North Texas. And actually, he may have even been there back before they made the move from SCS to FBS. But Damon West, in addition to being a Division I quarterback, he made some poor decisions, but has since turned his life around. He does a lot of public speaking. He talks to a lot of programs, whether it's Clemson or you name it.
Do you know what years he played, Bubba?
I'll have to confirm that. I don't recall exactly. I want to say it was about 20 years ago, maybe mid to late 90s. But
Oh yeah, they were FBS.
because I want to, like you're saying, Kyle. I want to. What was it? Early to mid 90s that they made the move from
Yeah, I believe so.
one
I was hoping he played late 80s when Stone Cold played at North Texas.
But we'll definitely have to ask him about Stone Cold. But those are some of the shows we have coming up over the next week plus.
All right, sounds good. Kyle from LaGrange, man, what do you got? What are you doing this weekend?
Oh, not much, man. We just kind of beating around the house. I'll be not doing anything to speak of, to be honest with you, dude. It would bore the listeners or viewers.
Okay,
So
all right.
nothing too exciting. How about yourself?
Probably spent some time, obviously, working around the yard. Not too much fun, but the campground. Maybe later this afternoon. I know it's going to be a little hot out there, but certainly late afternoon to go out there and spend some time. I haven't been out there in a few weeks, but with everything going on, lots going on, and just trying to get away from all the. That's one great place you can go and not have to worry about all the issues with COVID and all that. It's a lot of distance between people, so it's a good place to go out there and just relax. So
we'll enjoy it.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, appreciate Robert Jones, 50 Pirates in 50 days. Great offensive and defensive lineman for the Pirates. Thanks to Bubba for working really hard, and Kyle as well. Appreciate you, man. And we'll have more episodes coming up, 50 Pirates in 50 days. And obviously, you can listen to those great shows on SoundCloud and Anchor this year. And we appreciate it. And definitely we'll see you next time right here on the Sports Objective. Go Pirates.